sorry, what are we doing with the budget money for this year? We're not.
We're gonna spend it. We're gonna buy
It's basically
cars.
down payment on the,
Well, basically what I'm gonna do is gonna buy the vehicles that work
For that number.
towards 65,000 outright.
okay.
Because that's what the board already discussed a couple months ago. And that money's already in the 2016
So
budget.
the titles for those will be just us.
That's exactly
And the
correct.
titles for the other ones will be,
Will be
M&T.
us with M&T as a lien holder, correct.
so I have a motion then from Joanne.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay, sure. Yes, I'll make a
I mean, you
motion.
were kind of, going that direction,
Yeah, I was just, making sure that's what you guys we were looking at doing. Okay, so I'll make a motion to go forward with the lease, not to exceed 150,000.
I'll second.
Those in favor? Opposed? Correspondence?
Nothing. It was a quiet month. We did discuss the grant, and we update you on that, what that is, where we are with the grant.
Yeah, I guess you can.
I mean, I've submitted everything, the mayor received the communications, we've submitted everything, so we're moving right along. CDM was hoping to have an engineering proposal for you to consider tonight, but a huge chunk of this project is going to involve installation of a new water main on Vinnie Water. So he really needs to hear back from his geotechnical people to give you a really good price, that's something that he can feel comfortable in and we can rely on. And they just haven't come back yet. So he'll have it by next week. And I'll send it out in advance of the next meeting, or even distribute it at our special meeting so everybody can look at it ahead of time, and we vote on it in October. There's no urgency there. I'm gonna need some help from you, Bill.
Let me ask you, do you need, how about easements?
That's what I'm gonna need your help on. They've all been cobbed together from 3 or 4 owners, and I have the deeds, I'm just not sure how they come together. So I don't know if I need your help, or I need your help with Gazelle's help, but I need somebody's help.
If they can tell me where, then we'll just check and make sure we have easements.
I do have easements, yes, but I mean,
I don't know where they're gonna go.
I do, I have all that, right. So that'll be good. I'll just need your help on that, so.
Superintendent's report?
Question. With this contamination, this PFOS, why would they be doing coliform in addition to that? Doesn't seem to have any connection to it. It says something about that they're doing, there's a regulation now about this contamination from groundwater.
They have a whole laundry list before you can transact property. They're gonna have a whole laundry list of that we gotta do.
But that's going to mean, because of that, they're adding coliform bacteria testing just.
It's not that
throwing it in.
That is what I'm hearing. We'll see how the regulation comes down. What I do know is it's been recommended by both Commissioner of Health and the Commissioner of DEC, so that means it's got the governor's support, because they wouldn't come forward if he didn't have his support. And there seems to be bipartisan support from both sides of the legislature.
How much does it cost for that testing?
$4,000 a source.
So this is a potential revenue source.
Well,
I mean,
we won't get
that, but I mean,
Because we're not certified
so
in that
if
chemical.
you want to
We're only certified in
you have a private well and you want to sell your house.
Right.
Before you can sell your house, you're gonna have to do these tests, and that's the cost. Wait till the realtors get it.
Yeah, well,
So there's gonna be some pushback, I'm certain.
So the seller has to pay instead of the purchasee?
depends on how they work that out, but yeah, generally, I'm
It's
assuming.
usually the seller.
I think the way the legislation is written, it's going to be the seller. That doesn't mean you can't pass that back to the buyer in the transaction. I mean, what you do is your business, but it's gonna,
It's that whole like underground fuel tank.
yes.
Yeah. If you have ever had an underground fuel tank, the seller has to pay the cost of the contamination, see if there's.
Or proper remediation.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's just, it's, the big thing, the UCMR3 testing, purpose of that was instituted by the EPA to look, every 5 years, we look for 30 new contaminants that have health implications. Before EPA can regulate them in drinking water, you gotta know if they occur in drinking water. So every year, the larger utilities, and it's phased in, like the big utilities look the first year, and then the larger, like 100,000, look the next year, and then we look the third year, and then the fourth year, you got, town of Ulster and, places like that. Anybody with less than 10,000 population, because of the expense involved in the testing, doesn't have to do the testing. Because you're only looking for the occurrence. So if you find that it's occurring in drinking water, then the EPA is supposed to regulate it. And that's where it's broken down. We haven't done that.
I
So,
hope there'll be some type of risk assessment. I mean, if you're selling a house up in the mountains where,
there should be. There should be
There's no-
tied to occurrence. They have occurrence. They know where these places were located. They certainly do.
I mean,
Yeah.
to tell some guy who's selling a house up in the Adirondacks and this chemical isn't going to be anywhere within 100 miles of his property,
Right.
shouldn't have to, I mean, hopefully a little bit of that risk analysis.
And it all boils
Yeah.
down to in Hoosick Falls, they're less than 10,000, so they didn't have to do the UCMR3. And if they had, they would have seen it, and they wouldn't have had to wait for a homeowner to have his water tested. And then the rest is politics. As they say.
But if they throw all those other contaminants in, our use might go down because, right now, there's a couple of homeowners, the realtor or the lawyer will say, well, yeah, I need your water to be tested, and they just test it for California right now.
And it's a requirement, some financial, some financing, mortgages
Right.
require. FHA, first-time home buyer, you have to do more than that. You gotta do some other testing too, there's some other requirements.
So some of our sampling gets picked up for that, but if this law, if they throw a bunch of other chemicals
They
or
might
other
just go to
analysis.
another lab.
Yeah, the person who's gonna take the sample, he's gonna just take all the water samples to the lab that's certified and all those contaminants, not just, it's not gonna take the back sample to our lab and take 3 other samples to.
They have not considered lab capacity when they're talking about these regulations. Because they made all the schools do, repeat their lead testing even, and the labs are overwhelmed.
What are the 2 counties that are requiring it
Westchester and
by law?
Rockland.
Really?
And the 2 assembly people, or the 1 senator and 1 assemblyman that were instrumental, they were on the county government when it was passed, they were on this committee. If it worked for them, it's gonna work for the state. But they only do California, they don't do much more than that.
Well, is it because they had evidence of contamination in those counties?
No, I think it was because people were drinking, water with coliforms and fecal coliforms because
It was a consumer protection.
So that was
inadequate
that was-
sewage systems. and
That's
that
what was
kind of
driving this more so
There's
than
a comment
this.
made that people drinking the bottled water, there is less regulations on bottled water than the tap water.
He made that comment, yes, he did. That was Senator Lebanon from Westchester. You saw that. Yeah, he did. He's an interesting guy.
Well, depends on where the bottled water is bottled.
There's more stringent regulations on tap water than there are bottled water, but there's certainly a in New York State, bottled water is pretty well regulated.
Right. Go to some other state.
It may not be, but it is in New York.
I had a question about this 117 Trumper Avenue issue, fire alarm system.
Oh, yeah.
So, the alarm that was tripping has nothing to do with any of
Us.
us.
But it's tripping because of drop in system pressure. But we have a chart right downstairs that would certainly show a spike or a
I'm still
drop.
trying to understand how the fire alarm system,
There's a control panel in there. My guess is there's some sort of a malfunction in the program, the computer part of it, and it's telling it to trip. I think it's like a motherboard issue or something
I'm having a hard time to even figure out why.
but I,
Unless it's a sprinkler system?
oh, Dennis, the alarm is tripping, the sprinklers are not going off.
No, but if there's a fluctuation in the pressure that's causing the flapper valve on the sprinkler system to move, no water will come out of the sprinkler system, but it may cause the fire alarm
That's
to
what
go
it's
off
doing.
because it's registering flow of water internally within the system. It might be,
Right.
okay, that's,
And so C-Ray, I mean, I worked with them over in the fire department, and Chris is telling me, he went back and he looked, and all the calls are coming in at almost the same time. On the days that they're called in, they're coming in at almost the same time. So that would suggest it's some sort of computer-generated phantom thing or other. And once I provided the owner with this information, they haven't gotten any more phone calls, so she must have gotten it fixed. Must have. Because, the fire department, they'll go when they're called, but they don't like to go for, it's expensive to own that equipment to go out there for nothing, so.
so I need a motion to
I'll make a motion to accept the superintendent's report.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I have a
Anything for executive session?
I do, but I also have a policy that I'd like just to hand out to you guys that I'd like you to consider us adopting like next month. There's no real urgency. We have always paid for recertification credits for our operators, and I think that's a positive thing, and I'm not suggesting we change that. But recently, we've had some issues with, people, maybe they left early and didn't get their CEUs, or, didn't show up because something else happened. And I just like to formalize this to say, we'll continue. We've been paying for 40 years. I mean, the more we educate our staff, the better off they are. And every 3 years, we need 30 credits to renew our licenses. So there's something in it for both of us. That's how you learn about, you go to these meetings and you take these classes and you learn about, new technology or new treatment or just a refresher of your existing, what you're supposed to be doing. It's a positive thing. But I just want to make sure that if they don't go, they reimburse us. Because it's happened 3 times, and that's enough.
So
And it's the same,
we pay like a lump sum to the certifying agency of sending 5 people and
yeah, and it's,
one good person doesn't show up.
it's like $50 a session. I mean, we're not talking big money.
Right.
Lab class might cost $100, and we're all mandated to take that 7-hour lab class every 3 years. Anyway, they all go to that, but, so I would just like you to consider maybe, and also, it used to be that they needed permission to go, and now people are just signing, it's gotten too ad hoc, and we just need to bring it back and formalize it, to the guys who've been always asking permission, I'd like to go to this, it's not gonna change a thing that they do. For the couple of outliers that are,
It makes sense.
but anyway, look at it, it doesn't need any action.
Any executive session?
I have just a couple of personnel things we talked about last month about evaluations and that kind of thing.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session.
No, sir.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?